Cherry J. Oops, wrong side, my fault. There we go. The Cherry J. You can see that we are ready to rock and roll. But Cherry J, I wanna get your thoughts on this match. As you can see up top, we got Conduit Co. up against Koi Abyss. I did talk to the players, but we'll get into what I was talking about with them a little bit later. So Cherry J, I'm gonna give the floor to you. Who do you think's will win this one?
I think this game's gonna really come down to the team that fights better on game one. You got to come out of the gates
Yeah.
early in the ESL, the Ember Scorch League. It really does become such a fight for that top seed as these two teams are coming on into week number 2. We're still early in this. The
Mm,
pickums, the
yeah.
playoffs, the everything seeding wise still up in the air. And a lot of these early matches, yes, they do decide a little bit of favorability, but overall, it still is going to be anyone's
Mm.
chance to be able to break up into the top.
Absolutely, and like you were saying, it's just the first couple weeks. It's best to not burn out, right? Don't show your hand just yet. You got to save all the crazy strats for a little bit later. And speaking of crazy strats, I will actually reveal one thing. I don't think it's gonna come up in this game, but I want to see if you can guess it. It is an off-roll Anivia. Could you guess which lane that it could be
Oh,
played potentially?
I'm gonna guess support or top lane just because of the way you said off
Ooh.
roll. I don't think jungle is gonna be in the feasibilities for that. Maybe bot lane if they're really just looking to try and play some craziness. But I think the top lane and Nivea could certainly be something you could look to sustain with as you have that passive
Mhm.
revive and maybe the support position as well, just to be able to dish out some extra damage with your ADC rather than playing a more traditional support character.
Right. Well, I will say that you are right with 2 of the lanes. There are no Anivia tops
Interesting.
here in my handy dandy notebook, but we did manage to find an Anivia support player on the side of, I believe it's Koi. Yes, it is Koi. Mr. Himley does like to play the Anivia support, but then on the side of Conduit, they actually have an Anivia ADC player that runs it a crazy amount. I was checking their match history. They had north of 20 games on Anivia APC. And I'll reveal just a little bit more. They actually play this because it's a turn your brain off pick. Now, when I heard this, I was gobsmacked because Anivia is a really old champion. She's only good at clearing waves and team fighting. With how much power creep is in the game and with how many ADCs have mobility, I would have thought that Anivia ADC would actually be really darn hard. Sadly, I didn't get to talk to them, but Cherry J, I wanna know your thoughts. I assume you're a league veteran, right? A professional player, you could say.
I think the Anivia certainly can work in any position. You get a lot of versatility, being able to slow players down. And if
Right.
you're maybe one of the weaker mechanical players on the team, playing a character that doesn't really require as much mechanical brilliance and instead is more so there to be able to support the rest of the team as well as staying alive pretty consistently, the Anivia does a great job at doing that. With the ultimates, you're able to get a lot of AoE damage done. And
Mhm.
when you're in that kind of position with especially a tank player nearby to be able to
Yeah.
peel for you, it certainly can be a pickup that will work out wonderfully. But it definitely will come down to the player's mechanics, and if you're not at maybe the same tier as some of your opponents, it certainly can cause you to falter early and then maybe not have that potency to be able to deal a lot of impact on the later stretches of the game.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, that's absolutely bars right there. But personally, I like the Anivia ADC potential pick mainly for the dragon fights because obviously the Anivia ulti, it's not the most damaging ultimate in the game, right? Especially level 6. But the fact that it's a constant AoE slow in an area where people are basically guaranteed to group up, you can actually get a lot of mileage out of it, which is why I actually don't think it's that bad. And of course, you have the wall. If somebody is in the pit, you can just wall them off from leaving, and then give your team some extra time to rotate, like an extra 2 or 3 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it could actually add up to quite a bit. So I don't think it's that crazy. I don't know if we'll get to see it this game because I unfortunately could not talk to them. I wasn't able to see, what conditions there are. And of course, there's drafting secrets that go on too. So I wasn't really able to figure out what the conditions are for the Anivia ADC. But I do want to turn the floor to you once again. What is one champion that you would really want to see here? Because I have a feeling that one of your favorite champions could be played by one of these players.
I think one of the big things is going to be in the top lane, right? You're a Plat 3 top laner going against an Emerald 2 top laner, and that might cause them not to want to try and play any tankier champions. What we could definitely be looking for is something in the realm of possibilities, such as a Set and Bessa, maybe a Tryndamere if you're really trying to get crazy with it.
Ooh.
Obviously, there's a lot of viable pickups that can be played in the top lane looking to just punish mistakes. And especially with the disparity between the ranks, I definitely could see this as a big issue coming forth when it comes to Koi Abyss. They really do have to pull all the strings. And one of the big part of that is going to be in the jungle, being able to support your top laner, as that's the other disparity we're seeing on the map. It's a Diamond 4 for the side of Conduit & Co. against somebody who's currently ranked Emerald 3. That's a
Yeah.
good disparity. That's something that you could be a little bit more prevalent with. Maybe take a little bit more chances.
Right.
Try and invade into enemy jungle. Go for some unprecedented, unorthodox attacks and be able to thrive in that environment. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to do that against Tilted Pizza, we'll have to wait and see. They are a
Mm.
jungle, though, who's been picked up by an all-emerald team. They've replaced 3 emerald players who are currently subbing for this team. They're certainly
Really?
not going to be a player to stomp over. So it certainly could be Conduit Co, who may be low ranked, but certainly high spirited.
I mean, hey, definitely. I do think that Koi as well. Actually, no, I take that back. Conduit is actually extremely high spirited because this is another thing that I will reveal when I was talking to them in an interview. 3 of these players, all the players with shiny Pokemon names, they have been knowing each other for over 7 years. They
Wow.
are, I mean, one of them plays competitive quite a bit. That is Sneasel, if I said that right. This is why I was asking you about Pokemon earlier. But anyway, Sneasel is the glue that does hold this team together, and they have been playing competitive for years and years and years. Whereas the other 2 shiny Pokemon, they play occasionally, but the main thing to understand is that Tilted Pizza is untiltable, and he's played with these players for many, many years in casuals, in arena, in other tournaments. So I feel like even if they do manage to lose, the early game, their mental fortitude is off the charts. I promise you, they will never get tilted. And even if game 1 doesn't go their way, this is a best of 3 series. I do think that they will be favored in the long run because, again, they have that level of experience playing with each other. They know what makes each other laugh, how to calm each other down, all that kind of good stuff. But just kind of as speaking about playing for a long time, I did want to ask about your league career because I don't think I really heard that.
Uh, I subbed for a team once. They needed it was one of those
Cool.
average rank teams. It was like average rank leagues, and they needed somebody really, really low rank. And
Okay.
so they got me on board.
What
And
role?
oh, I played top lane for him. And
Really?
now when I play top lane, I'm looking at characters like Mordekaiser, Tryndamere, all of them. Um, I had to learn a lot of Ornn, as you could imagine,
Oh, yeah.
very, very fast. Um,
Did you just like hop in some
actually,
macro
actually,
streams?
no, no, no. This was like a year ago, so I don't remember it perfectly. But what did it
Okay.
actually? What happened was, I needed to learn Ornn. Could not play Ornn for the life of me. So then they were like, "Okay, let's have you on Mundo instead."
Ooh.
And that actually worked. That worked for a while.
Oh man. I would love to see a Mundo pick. I'm gonna check my notebook quickly. I don't think we have any Mundo players. No, we don't. But we
Oh
do have a potential
yeah.
Garen player on the side of Conduit, Mr. Minecraft Zombie. He doesn't play it often, but he has been known to pick a Garen. So it might not be Mundo, but I think Garen is maybe the next best thing, like a step up above Mundo.
I think the Garen could come out. The win condition you got to play for though when it comes to a Garen is your opponent's picking something like the Cassante. The Garen's a good matchup into
Yeah,
that, but overall,
right.
like you're not gonna want to blind pick Garen because if they just go for something like a Vayne, you're just
Yeah.
cooked. Um, you really do need to have a good scope of your opponent's draft. And I mean, as we do hopefully get into the draft soon, we'll likely be able to see what these 2 teams are inevitably going to be able to opt in for.
Mm.
But it could be rough. It really could be.
It could be rough. I do know that the opposing top laner on the side of Koi, they do play a lot of Teemo. So definitely, like you were saying, the Garen cannot be drafted because Garen into Teemo is abysmal. He will feed. He will either, feed or be useless, and that's not what you want from a Garen. He needs to be a stat stick. But I do want to just kind of take our attention off the game for just a second and actually talk about Pokemon because obviously on the side of Conduit Co, they've got 3 Pokemon names, that being Shuckle, Sneasel, and Dreepy. As a boomer, I did not know about Dreepy or Sneasel, so I want to ask you, Cherry J, if you were on the Conduit team, what shiny Pokemon name would you give yourself?
You've never heard of Sneasel?
Unfortunately not. Shuckle is the only one that I know because I
Wow.
grew up on the Pokemon animes, alright, when they were talking about
I thought
Shuckle.
I thought Shuckle was like Gen 4 though.
Listen, I don't know what Jenny is, but listen,
I don't
I'm way too
know.
old to be doing Pokemon stuff, but I do like to come back from time to time. But I want to ask, like, what's your favorite Pokemon? And if you were on the Conduit team, which, what would your name be?
What's my favorite Pokemon? That's a good question.
Don't say Gardevoir.
Oh, Gardevoir is strong. I wasn't even considering Gardevoir. No, one of the big things for me though, as we get into the draft, just to conclude, is probably going to be who's the dragon ground type? Who's like
Don't ask
generation
me.
5 or something?
Don't ask
Um
me.
what's his name, dude? Like the blue one, the blue one. I don't remember his
I
name, but I had like a
hell. Wait, Gibble?
3600. No,
Gibble?
yeah, Gibble's third evolution. Gibble's third evolution. What's it called? Um,
Listen,
yeah,
Gibble's
yeah,
the best
yeah.
you're getting. We'll say that you're gonna be shiny
Exactly,
Gibble.
exactly. Yeah,
Personally,
yeah.
I would probably be shiny Snorlax because I think that is my spirit animal. I think
Oh,
like
yes, yes,
if
yes.
you've seen me, that kind of does all the talking. But let's get into this draft. We are going to be seeing that
Garchomp,
Timo picked
Garchomp.
in Garchomp.
That's what it's
Okay.
called. Garchomp. Yes. I had a 3,600 powered Garchomp in Pokemon Go, and I used him to
Oh
stomp my local gyms. Anyway, yes, back on task. What is
yes.
this comp? Shem Tinamo.
Oh
Who's in the
baby, I
support?
love
Who's in
it.
the top?
So that is going to be a Timo top. Minecraft Zombie plays a lot of Timo. Like when I tell you a lot of Timo, I mean a lot of Timo. The Shen support is actually new. I'm not going to lie. I would imagine that is support. Unless that's no, because Swain's got to be mid lane here, right?
I mean, just the other day, I was casting some, I think it was like ECL, maybe a different one, and we did see some Swain in the ADC position. So there really is that chance
Really?
it's some craziness.
Actually,
Who
wait.
knows?
No, no, no. You're so right. Aqua, the Koi's ADC, they do play Swain. That is a Swain ADC. Okay, so then Shen, I'm still not sure. On the side of Koi, though, that is going to be a Lysandra mid lane. That is actually going to be a Zahen jungle. Mr. Oh, geez, Chase with the 12K does like to play it quite a bit. The Ornn, I don't think Dark Carnage plays a crazy amount of it, but I do know that he is very comfortable on the champion.
I mean, the Ornn, and that definitely does make a little bit of an interesting thought into my mind, just due to the fact that, I mean, where's this Zaheen going then? Are we seeing that in like the jungle,
Yeah,
maybe? I
jungle.
mean, oh, I see. I don't know. I'm only
Yeah, yeah.
familiar with Zaheen in top. I feel like I only
Right.
ever see Zaheen in top. So putting them in the
Mhm.
jungler, maybe it's going to be able to pay out dividends. We'll have to wait and see. It's a really big
Actually,
carry champ, and
based on the interview that I had a little bit earlier with one of the Koi players, Mr. Shiny Shuckle, he actually plays a good deal of Zahen Jungle, and he told me it's actually
oh,
insanely strong. He actually really likes it. So I've never seen it myself. We'll see this game if it is going to live up to all the hype. But as we finalize these last picks here, we are going to be seeing the Bard Misfortune. I do really respect the Bard from Mr. Himley because he does manage to play. He does in fact play it a little bit. The Nautilus is going to confirm that that is probably going to be a Swain Nautilus bot lane, Corki in the mid lane, Timo up at the top lane, but Shen jungle. Wait a minute, something's not adding up here. We need your analysis, Cherry.
I I mean, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's my prediction. All right, we're gonna see Swain in the mid lane. We're changing
Okay,
it up. Okay, even though the one person plays it more, I think Corky likely gonna be in the ADC position,
okay.
Nautilus in support, Timo in jungle, Shen in top. That's my thought
Really,
process.
Timo and jungle.
I think
Oh,
that
actually,
makes
wait,
more
no,
sense than
you're right.
Shen jungle, Timo top.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. You're cooking up a storm with that one.
I've seen
Because
some Timo solo queue in jungle.
okay,
Sorry.
well, what position? Like, was it
In
also
jungle,
jungle?
yeah, in jungle,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Because what you're gonna like to do is just build for AP and then just like put the shrooms everywhere and then just take drakes because every time any of them walk into
Mhm,
a shroom, they're already dead and they can't contest
mhm.
Drake.
Okay, okay, I can see that. And actually, I do remember there was Broxa. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but he played pardon me, a crazy amount of Teemo in the jungle for I want to say like a few months, and he was on a rampage. He was gaining a crazy amount of LP. So I don't know if Riot has actually touched the Teemo jungle a whole lot, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did get that Teemo jungle coming in hot because, like you're saying, you could just kind of push rooms down, and people really don't sweep in the earlier parts of the game. Maybe again, these players are better than I am, so maybe they'll adapt a little bit faster. But in these early objectives, that's really when you need to lock in and you need to really get them. And if you're not sweeping for those rooms, they can take you by surprise, chunk you out, and then you just kind of give up the objective.
Yeah, one of the big things I think that we might be seeing from the Zaheen is just early able to kind of just pocket the Lissandra in mid lane. Lissandra's one of those characters, right? Hits a good power spike up at level
Right.
16. Beyond that, relatively weak. So playing into somebody who might be a little bit more dominant towards the early game, they're going to need a nice jungler who's going to have a lot of damage
Mhm.
potential. And Zaheen certainly does have
Oh
that. You
yeah.
look at this character
Oh
and
yeah.
expect nothing less than greatness.
Absolutely, and Zahin is very, very comfortable at skirmishing, right? Like, that is his entire kit. He's kinda like a modern Darius, but without the bleeds. Well, I mean, he does have a bleed, actually, never mind. But anyway, point is, he's like a modern Darius, but he does have a little bit of mobility. But I do actually really like the Zahin pick here because, obviously, that ultimate makes him dodge CC, which, of course, the Shen taunt is very detrimental because Zahin can't stack when Shen is taunting you, and he's got his barrier on. If you get Swain grabbed as you're trying to run away, or even as you're trying to engage the fight, it could really screw up and engage. So definitely dodging the Swain E, very, very good. And it's the same with the Nautilus too. His entire kit is going to stop Zahen from doing what he wants to do, and that is hit multiple people with his abilities to get that revive up and running. So I think it is going to find some value. And of course, the Misfortune pick is pretty solid. But I don't know how the lane is going to be because she's not the tankiest champion. And Swain, if you are correct, or if we are correct that this is going to be a Swain ADC, he has quite a lot of poke, and Nautilus brings quite a lot of kill pressure.
Yeah, I think Misfortune is going to have a hard time finding the necessary target. They're likely going to be looking to try and just engage on the Corki pretty often. And
Yeah.
especially when you consider the fact that Teemo is going to be able to just blind a Misfortune who does traditionally rely on their auto attack to find the majority of their damage outside of their
Yeah.
E and R. It becomes a question of can you even fight them if they do end up playing in the support or bot lane position. Obviously, the chances of it very, very unlikely due to the fact that there's
Right.
already that Nautilus. And so it's, I mean, more realistically than not, this is just going to be a
Oh.
pretty strong game. There's more Misfortune likely going to be able to play okay in the early start. The question
Mhm.
will be if they can test against time and stay
Yeah.
prevalent in the match until the end game when everyone's starting to build up armor and have that Misfortune do a significantly less amount of damage.
That is very, very true. Although the bullet time, I believe it still scales with crit chance. You'll have to math check me on that one. But as we load into the game, I think the picks are going to be revealed. We are going to be seeing that that is actually a Swain mid lane. So again, my bad. I thought that Aqua was going to be whipping it out on the ADC role, but no, they are going to be playing. Or no, Sneasel is going to play at mid lane. They are going to whip out the Corki, which I'll be honest. I was looking in their match history. I didn't see a crazy amount of. Oh, I lied.
Yeah,
Never
I
mind.
mean, I think from a just general standpoint, Sneasel on this Swain could be good, and I think just from a composition standpoint, it does make a little bit more sense rather than having the Cork in the middle. And we saw that kind of as a thing in like 2024, 2025. Recently, not so much. Getting
Mhm.
those ADCs up in the middle lane, and so having Swain there, I mean, realistically makes a lot more sense because it becomes a matchup in mid now where neither player is really going to be losing out on success. So it's going to be a question of which one's going to be able to get scaling up a little bit more. And I think based exclusively on ranks, these two players, they're very similar, right? They both are
Mhm.
currently up at Emerald 1. They're both players who have traditionally been very powerful. You'd have to imagine to be on a team of these two teams' calibers.
Yeah.
And as it does seem like we have a little bit of an issue going into game, hopefully we'll be able to get that sorted.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, it's honestly a bit of a chill lane. Honestly, as the Nautilus, you don't really want to step up into a double range lane. That being said, he is going to be able to land that hook. Corki going to lay down some damage. It's a good trade, but it's nothing too crazy.
Oh, it is certainly just that basic, tried and true. Neither team going to be able to find a head, a bit of a lead. Comes in top side. The Ornn doing very good work at being able to navigate these damage. And as of now, Gareth, I'm kind of looking at this, and I'm really starting to think this blue side has a little bit of extra potency, right? You're looking at
Ooh.
especially this bot lane.
All right. I mean, yeah, you're right. That hook was very, very good. Oh, wait, the flashes are going out all over the place. Good stuff from both teams for capitalizing on that trade. But you know, you might have just cast reversed it. Right as you said, the blue side might have some more potency. Conduit managed to land a nasty hook, and that Bard is going to be dropped pretty low. But I do like the fact that the blue side has a lot more sustain. Um, it's hard to say though. I wanna believe in the team though. I really do.
I think believing in Teemo certainly is going to be a work to. It needs to elevate the performance of the entire team, and I think Teemo just not a character that really does that. Right? They don't have that mobility. They don't really have that close engage to be able to put their opponents in a little bit of a pinch, and because of the fact that their damage does initially start out so low, it's going to put a lot less pressure than something like a Jin Zhao,
Right.
Dwarven 4, anything that might be able to lock up your opponents a little bit heavier.
Lock up your opponents? Is that a lock reference? Because, oh my goodness, he was hitting the rift recently. I don't know if you've seen him, but actually, the jungler, Mr. Shiny Shuckle, has actually no opinions on him. He's never really seen him outside of ARAM, so maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we are going to be seeing a bit of action probably going up on this top side. I'm not going to lie, that Teemo's getting a little bit close. Although Teemo's not really known for potent ganks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We alluded to it earlier. It's a character that traditionally, yeah, you're going to be able to find some damage. Yeah, you're going to be able to force your opponent from having that engage with you. But the big issue with it is going to be a situation where, yeah, I mean, you can't really stop them from rotating out. Yes, you have that blind, but that doesn't give you any real CC.
It's true, yeah, and we're going to be seeing this up here. The Orin, I mean, he doesn't want to be hit with all that ganks, but he is just going to be walking away from that one. Not too big of an issue. But the wave state for Conduit is actually going to be quite good. Misfortune's running out of mana, and both Nautilus and the Corki have pretty much their entire kits up and a ton of mana, so they're really going to need to be careful on the side of Koi.
And so far, playing it slowly. Going to be able to take a couple more minions up in the bot lane. In topside though, Dark Carnage,
Ooh.
rough position
Oh.
to say the least. Will they be able to get out with their live intact?
Yes, they
Answer
do.
will be yes.
Very good. Although I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing a nasty hook, but they do have to be careful, or nasty hook at the bot lane, but they do have to be careful because of all that Bard sustain. But top lane definitely going to be under fire though. Zahan is going to have to come up there to try to catch a wave or to try to gank the Shen just to kind of, you know, mellow out the lane, because otherwise that Shen is going to start running away. And if he hits 6 before the Ornn does, it's not just a level advantage in lane, it's now a global numbers advantage for Dragon, for Baron, for literally anything.
Although, not a single kill on the board just yet. It is going to be that back and forth. Small gold advantage, nothing to look at over on the blue side. Initiation from the Nautilus as of now, targeting up onto the Corki. Bathwater still going to be half HP, maybe a little bit higher.
Yeah, pretty chill though. Pretty chill. I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, we're gonna be seeing this top lane push in. I would imagine that once the actually no, Zahan's probably gonna be crossing over to that bot side to finish that full clear. Because against this comp with so much CC, they're probably gonna need their ultimate to actually engage in the fights. And the mid lane situation as well, it's actually gonna be favored towards the Swain. They have a lot more mana to play with, so I would imagine that after this cannon wave, we're gonna be able to get a nice recall and probably work towards that oh, the Mercury treads, and just kind of give them some nice early power.
So far within this league, Koi Abyss currently standing 1-0 with a 2-1 victory over Tilt Abino. On the other side of things, have not seen a whole lot from Conduit Co. They had a 2-0 victory as well, so a little bit more dominant, but whether or not that's going to stand to measure in this game, who knows? Regicide Dynasty had a forfeit loss, so obviously Conduit Co. they didn't really get a whole big win, but it still was there. They haven't lost yet.
Yeah, exactly right. We are going to be seeing a bit of engage actually onto Mr. Aqua Bathwater, but they are going to be able to get out quite easily. Bard Tunnel is going to make some pressure, but not quite going to be the nail in the coffin, but I do want to pay attention to this dragon that is coming up and looks to be all but Koi's signed and sealed. I don't think there's a whole lot Conduit can do, and especially at this rate, I don't know. Teemo's not really the most brawly jungler there is. He might just try to take a blue buff and get some damage off. But actually, with Swain coming in, they could actually have a decent crunch here. Donald's going to be landing that hook onto the Bard. Swain ulti going to be popped as well. That hen is as good as dead, and that dragon is basically as good as Conduit's. Just the other two left to flash or try to Bard tunnel away as we do get a disconnect.
The disconnect, unfortunate to say the least, but they are going to be able to reconnect. So, after finding the opening kill of this game on the mid laner too, giving them that extra gold, it certainly is going to be a position that this Swain is going to love, as Shiny Sneasel, with this extra kill, with this Drake on hand, they're likely going to be able to skyrocket themselves within this matchup and get an extra bit of gold to be able to just put this Lissandra out of the running.
Absolutely, and I was talking about how the Shen is basically just a guaranteed numbers advantage on the map. That Cloud Dragon giving, I believe it's 10 ultimate ability haste. Regardless, it cools down the ultimate a lot faster, which makes the Shen even more active. So as if the 6v5 or the +1 numbers advantage wasn't that much enough, like in 3 minutes, it's now an even shorter cooldown, which does make the Shen a lot more potent. But at the same time, if Conduit can't really end the game fast enough, I do think that Koi is favored because of that Ornn passive.
Yeah, of course, as now coming on into this game with the lead that's being gathered, you look at the general play that's being put out. I mean, you gotta really imagine that this should be a pretty one-sided affair. I mean, up in top lane, yes, this Ornn is matching them well, able to keep up CS, but neither player is somebody who's likely going to dominate this lane. Down in the bot lane, I mean, it's a similar aspect where they're just so equal. And then obviously in mid, it's a little bit different. And in jungle now, there's the first death. So, I mean, I'm just looking at this red side, and there's not a lot of issues that they're currently appearing with.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's interesting points, but I do want to pay attention to this bot side once again. Like you were saying, the Misfortune, obviously the bolt time is very, very powerful. But the issue is that using it in bot lane is going to be pretty tough. Corki can Valkyrie away, Nautilus can hook the wall, or even just try to CC Misfortune and Bard as well. They hold people in place for 2 seconds. There could be some anti-synergy coming up in the game. We're not quite sure. But we do know for a fact that it is going to be pretty good setup for the bullet time. But I think in terms of like the early game fighting and just the general scrappiness and just kind of being able to play anywhere on the map, I do think that it is favored towards Conduit because again, the Corki ulti, they can it's aimed anywhere and it has a cooldown of I think it's like 2 or 3 seconds. So it's very, very short compared to the Misfortune ult, which is like a giant nuke every couple minutes. And again, with the Misfortune ult, the positioning is really, really important, whereas the Corki can be a little bit more flexible where they want to play in the fight, and if they need to reposition, that's A-okay. That doesn't really impact their ultimates, and their DPS can still remain pretty darn high.
I mean, overall, you look at this utility, already expending a teleport as well as your ultimate Shiny Sneasel, they're going to be on a little bit of a less mobile foot for the time being, as well as you look at Drapey in a similar situation where they're down their Ignite, not going to have that in the realm of possibility, something that has been pretty consistently a nail biter to be able to get these kills. And on the other side of things, it's a very similar situation. Summoner spells getting expended, no more heal, no more flash for the bot lane. It's going to put them in a bit of a deficit for sure, but it's just going to be that quick 1-for-0 on the Drake, unless, of course, we're going to be seeing that Lissandra, that Bard, that Misfortune completely book it towards this Drake pit.
I don't know. I would like to see the hero play, but I do think that the Bard did manage to portal out, and Misfortune not quite level 6 just yet. And I do believe, if I'm looking at the minimap correctly, that is going to be pushing into Conduit. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Nautilus and Corki hit the level 6 first and potentially go for a dive now that Swain is bot lane. But obviously, without that ultimate, it does make it a little bit more tough, and they can't immediately discredit the Lissandra because obviously, Frozen Tomb, one of the best ultimates in the game for locking someone down. It's kind of like a budget Malzahar ulti, but you can actually move and, save yourself with it. So it's hard to say, but I do think that the death on Zehen is actually going to be a lot more critical than we initially thought, because Zehen is, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of like a modern Darius where you kind of need to get ahead. If you're not fighting, you're playing it wrong, and you have to like always be trying to kill someone. So the fact that he's dead for like another 10 seconds, it seems small, but it allows the Teemo, basically a farming jungler to just kind of take an extra recall, get back on the map, potentially even counter jungle, and with those shrooms coming down, potentially even steal some camps if Zehen is not that careful.
Coming on in. I mean, one of the big things that we're going to have to be looking at is going to be that magic resist, right? You're going to be able to take so much damage away from the Teemo and Swain if you're this Ornn already building a plethora of it.
Hmm. Although I do think that with the Ornn, obviously the extra stats are going to be important. But the thing I want to pay attention to is that Shen's Q is going to be dealing percentage max health damage. So even though, yes, Ornn is a very tanky champion, Shen might unironically be favored because Ornn will not be able to get that brittle passive off if Shen engages with E, lets the Ornn fully W him, and then pops the barrier. Ornn just does not have enough time to get that brittle auto attack off. And Shen probably could be able to take some more favorable trades. And again, using his passive, which does give him an extra shield, certainly could add up over the long term of the lane. And with that grasp as well, going to be able to stay pretty darn healthy. Whereas the Ornn, yes, he's got a lot of damage. Yes, he's got a big health pool, but he doesn't have any of these sustain tools aside from building health regen.
Overall, it's going to be a rough turn of events for sure. I mean, we already see this Teemo close
Hmm.
to being able to build up first item, as I believe there's going to be the Nashor's Tooth online for them,
Yeah, yeah.
getting a bit of
Actually,
attack speed.
you know what? While I got this pause here, let's talk about Locke, because I was teasing it a little bit earlier. I said that Shuckle didn't really have any opinions on it because they didn't really see it. I want to get your thoughts on it if you've seen Locke.
I have not. I have not,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately.
That's all good. Never mind. Let's just get back into the game as it looks like we are going to get a nice resume. Hopefully, pretty soon. I know we had some tech issues, so we do apologize about that one. But I think we'll be back with all the esports action in just a couple seconds. And taking a look at the map, Sherry, I know we were talking about this a lot when the pause just started, but where do you see this game going in the next couple minutes?
I mean, current trend would be leading me to believe that there's only one real team who's got this game on lock, and that is going to be this side over on Conduit Co. I mean, they take a kill, they're about to take a Drake, they're
Yeah.
close to being able to find a second kill as this Lissandro's in pursuit will likely be shut down at one point or another.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. But in terms of like where people are going to be playing, do you think that Timo is going to try for that counter jungle that I was talking about earlier, or do you think he's probably just going to be sitting just in his own side of the jungle?
Um, I don't think we're going to be seeing any invades just due to the fact that this nature has been really calm and collected, neither team taking many risks. So I think counter jungling going to be going against that philosophy pretty heft-handedly.
I see. I see. Well, as we are able to get that resume in place, we might be seeing another dirty hook from Nautilus. He's hit a few pretty good ones in the earlier parts of this game. We'll see if he can muster it up again. Not quite this time.
At this time, the hook unable to make the landing. Up in top lane, Dark Carnage, a little bit of damage inputted as they are now putting the hurt onto their opponent.
Are we going to be seeing some counter jungling on the Teemo side of the jungle? Is Ahen Lysandra getting a little friendly around that mid lane? Might be looking for a Swain gank, but I don't think he could really gank the Swain. He's got Flash, and he has that Never Move available, which does make it pretty darn tough. Looks like they're going to move in for it anyway. The Flash is expended, so is the Frozen Tomb, and they're not able to hook him back in time as he makes it out of the tower. And Zahen not able to make a whole lot happen as the very snowball reliant champion might be falling back a little bit more.
And this is certainly getting a little bit on the dicer end. Under turret will be taking a little bit of damage, but with both players in such close pursuit, the hook unable to make the landing as so many minions
Oh,
taking a close turn.
Timo going to give Lysandra a little love tap before taking his leave towards that red side. Has some camps respawning. And same with Zahen. You were right. I thought Timo was going to look for a bit of a counter jungle, but Zahen is going to be able to make his way back over towards his camps. No trouble at all.
And this is just that close tied. Unfortunately, a bit of a pause once more. And I mean, you look at the current state of things, right? You got that last chapter on the line. If you are
Yeah.
that Lissandra, you're gonna like that a lot. On the other side of things, though, they
Mhm.
still haven't backed yet. So the Swain, once they do end up going for it, they're gonna likely have a hefty amount of money
Oh,
to be
yeah.
able to even come close to that first item. I think they are gonna be. They won't have it probably, but they'll definitely be pretty close.
100%. I do want to pay attention to this jungle though. Like obviously Zahen, they've been full clearing quite a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if they do go into a bot clear, into probably a gank because at this point they are level 6. They have a little bit more mobility in their kit, so maybe they want to try to start using it, just to either get themselves ahead or try to get one of their laners online. Because obviously, Ornn very very important. But like we were talking about, Shen probably not going to be high up on that list, mainly because he can block a lot of auto attacks, which is half of Zahen's damage. His Q is an auto attack thingy, you know what I mean, right? So I don't think that Shen is really going to be killable, and with how much CC Nautilus has, it's going to be rough to gank bot lane.
Yeah, it is just going to be a very, very slow paced game as now with this start. I mean, only up 300 gold or so. Not going to be anything too hefty, but certainly does go to speak towards the tone of how this is likely going to be able to play out. Down in the bot lane once
Mhm.
more, a bit of an engagement ensuing as your Corki low HP, but it is going to cause a lot of mass disorganization when it comes to who to try and target.
Mhm. And correct me if I'm wrong. I do think that the misfortune back before the Corki does. He might be sitting on some more gold, so I think if he's not able, if he's able to stay alive, he could be getting a really nice back and probably work towards. I'm seeing he has a serrated Dirk in there. I wonder what he's building. I don't think it'd be a Yomu's, but I actually don't know any any recent Corki builds, so maybe we can speak to that a little bit. But as we take a look at the Teemo, like you're saying, getting that Nashor's Tooth online, and based on how the junglers are posturing right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Sehen probably goes for a clear on that bot side of the jungle and a gank in exchange for Teemo getting those the grubbies relatively uncontested.
Yeah, the grubs definitely going to be a big thing needed in this game. We'll have to wait and see though, as this certainly is coming down to the wire.
I mean, you know what? I will disagree on that one. I do think that you are very knowledgeable about this game, but I don't know if it's going to be down to the wire just yet. It's still the early game. The gold lead is not crazy for either team right now. Although I do expect with how much Zahen is farming, I wouldn't be surprised if we did get to see a larger gold lead on the side of Koi pretty soon.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I say down to the wire when it's a situation where it really does. It can go either team's favor. Right? We're in a position of who knows. I mean, obviously, in terms of composition, the scaling probably gonna favor this blue side just for the time being. Maybe it'll become a different story, but I'm looking specifically at like the Lissandra, the Zahen, and maybe
Mhm.
as well this misfortune once they hit their level 6, get into a good position in a team fight. They can really start to put the pressure on the other side of things, though. It's kind of a different angle.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at the game, but I think we do have to pay attention to this Teemo. Once again, right? Like obviously, I do want to glaze the Teemo a little bit because it is a bit of a meme tier pick, but I do think it has a lot of late game potential. Yeah, and in saying that, not a lot of boys champions really auto attack in the late game. Obviously, Bard would like to auto attack, but he does get attack range from those meeps. So, and I don't think he's able to outrange the Teemo. And again, Misfortune, yes, obviously they auto attack, but in the late game, a bulk of their damage is going to be on that Q, on the E, and the ulti, which is not auto attacks. Lissandra, obviously, the mage not going to want to auto attack. Zehen still probably going to struggle with that blind, but Ornn as well, generally not going to be too affected, I wouldn't imagine.
This is certainly going to the game coming down, and I mean, as of now, unfortunately, we are still just having a little bit of a stuck. I mean, the league client is not loving us just yet, but yeah, we will just have to
Unfortunate.
wait and see.
All right. Well, I do think that we are going to be getting a bit of a switch up here. So let me, yeah, you know what happens with Rye, right? You know, sometimes you just gotta whack the modem a little bit for it to work. But I do think that we are going to be getting something maybe a little bit more suitable
Yeah, I mean,
soon enough. Yeah.
it's definitely unideal, right? We're in a situation where we're just kind of looking at this game, expecting it to hopefully stay close, like what we've seen so far. These two teams so far both 1 and
Mhm.
0. Neither are going to want to try and bow out to a 1 and 1 record, only
Right.
50%. And we're in week 2, right? We're starting to start separating the best from the rest of the pack. And I think overall, either definitely can be a very, very strong team, but it really is going to come down to who's the one who in the end are going to be a little bit more prevalent.
Hmm. And it's certainly hard to it's certainly hard to say because obviously, like I've been saying, the late game from Koi is certainly better because obviously you have the Ornn upgrades and all that jazz. And Misfortune, yes, they do hurt in the late game, but I do think that it favors Scorky because again, he's a lot more flexible with how he can play the fights and where he can and can't play. He can also save himself a lot easier than Misfortune, which makes his DPS a lot harder to shut down. Which again, in the late game, is probably going to be favored. So I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think this definitely can go either way. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a short little break. We'll be back with the game hopefully in a little bit. So don't go anywhere. We'll talk to you all soon.
All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Sorry about that. Let's get back into the esports action. We just had to throw some bananas at the monkeys that are running the Riot server, and after a little bit of negotiations, they managed to muster up the courage to make this stuff work again. So, let's hope that we can get these people or these all the Riot employees to keep working on this amazing server. And if run out of bananas, Jerry, I'm gonna hope that you have some on hand so we can throw them later because I'm running low.
Yeah, of course, these teams, they're ready to get back on into this. We are still just waiting to see what happens. Locked up this Nautilus right under the tower, able to evade the majority of the damage, instead backing up onto turret.
Yeah, he's fine. He's chilling. I mean, the Bartle invested is going to be a little scary because now they can't really do any big engages for too long now. It is a pretty hefty cooldown, so they are going to have to try to commit it to something different. Or, just kind of figure out a better way to play this fight. They do have the Ornn ulti online, and he looks to be pretty healthy up at the top lane, but with the Teemo coming in, probably gonna get chunked out. Probably not a kill, right? Because how are you supposed to kill an Ornn as a Shen Teemo, right? He just pops his W as the Shen dashes, and he just walks away for free. He's chill.
Yeah, backing up immediately. It certainly does seem like we're going to have some more issues happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a short little break once more. Don't go anywhere. We will be back right after this short break.
So sorry for the delay. Now we are a little bit into the future, and as we can see, it is actually favored towards that blue side. The Koi is managing to punch back. But that being said, I do want to say that Conduit is definitely favored in terms of dragons.
Yeah, I mean, the current state of things, it certainly is looking good. Of course, for the side of Conduit, they are really going to need to try and pull back the reins a little bit, right? When we look towards Koi Abyss, they're given opportunities, but it's really coming down towards this Zahen. 3 and 2 on the current kill percentage. They're definitely a player who's going to have a lot of opportunity to maybe get ahead, as well as that Corky still looking good, but that misfortune definitely playing their liveness out as we
Oh, I
do
wish I
look
could zoom out here
towards.
just to capture more of the action, but unfortunately, I just can't. Uh, let's see here. Ooh.
I think it's Control A, maybe. Oh, a little bit of an engagement up towards this bot lane as the 2v1. Zahen now getting that secondary player as the Shen drives into the bot lane. But on the other side of things, Jace to get the kill. It's 12 gauge to go and get their own. It's now a double kill for Jace, and it is now Anuse in the mid, going to be able to flash over the wall. Phenomenal mechanics to be able to evade that death, as now it is certainly going to be looking good, but it is not ideal. It's a 2-kill lead as this Zahen just pulling out all the stops up in the bot lane.
Oh man, well on my end, I'm seeing a 3-kill lead here. Maybe I'm just speaking into the future, but it does look like Koi is going to be in the driver's seat here as they start up this Baron, and it's pretty much uncontested from the side of Conduit.
Yeah,
Looks
it's
like they'll
definitely not optimal.
Yeah, not gonna be optimal, especially with that Ornn almost hitting level 18 is gonna be able to get a huge power spike very, very soon.
And I mean, I think that's very, very reasonable, right? When we kind of consider the evaluation of how they're playing, it is not going to be too great for the side of this Koyabis squad. Or sorry, this Conduit squad, right? Koyabis,
Yeah.
they're currently just dealing so much damage overall, and at a 5k deficit, I'm really looking at this game and I'm thinking, how on earth do you return this lead? And I think a lot of it is going to be coming down to heroics from players like the Swain, like this Teemo, to be able to lock up the correct targets. That's going to take a lot of skill. It's going to take a lot of determination, and those are the two players who are currently having the most gold inputted onto them. With 2 kills on both of them, they got 2 items up each, about to hit that third. We'll see whether or not they're going to be able to do it in style.
Yeah, exactly. And we are going to be seeing everybody punch up for this dragon fight, potentially. Unfortunately, a lot of hooks are going wide, so Koi is going to be able to play around just a little bit more, but this is sole point for the side of Conduit, so they are gonna, I mean, they definitely want this one. That Infernal, excuse me, Soul is gonna do wonders on those Teemo Shrooms, but unfortunately Nautilus is gonna be caught out. Is not able to buff the hook, and now he's gonna have to be ulted by Shen, stood up against the wall by the bar. That bullet time's coming down, and oh my goodness, the damage, but now Big Swain is coming in hot, and he gets ulted by Bard, which means that his pressure is gonna be stopped, and that double kill from Misfortune makes everything go down the toilets for the side of Conduit, and they are left just scrambling for anything, as Corki is the last man standing with Aqua Bathwater, not able to cool down the situation, has to try to defend a 1v5 push. I don't think it's doable, and he's going to be shoved off by the Bard.
And this is certainly becoming a dire position as the double kill comes on through. Looking to try and make it a triple, but it is going to be the Zaheen to take the kill in the end, as it's a double for each jungler and bot laner, and this buff to the minions just going to be able to provide them another tower down in the bot lane. Everyone starting to execute prime instincts being pulled out as these players letting loose on these turrets, not going to give them a single inch, not giving them any time to respawn. It's already the inhibitors taken down. The nexus is shown, and it is definitely getting to the tragic point in this game.
I think it's already been signed, sealed, and delivered. That Nexus is gone. Is as good as gone as they say. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty dominating fight, I'm not gonna lie. It looked very, very even in those opening minutes of the game, but man, oh man. I'm hoping that we can switch gears soon and go back to an analyst position, whenever we so choose to. But yeah, the early game was definitely very, very even, like I've been saying, but of course, that late game is going to be, you know, very much in favor of Koi as they take that Baron and win a very, very clean fight just to kind of wrap up the game in a very nice bow. But yeah, it seemed like you know, a little bit and all at once. And yeah, it was great stuff.
Yeah, it certainly was just that one-sided affair that we saw pretty consistently through this, where ever since I think like the 15-minute mark where we did leave off for a little bit, they just constantly were saying, yep, we're going to take these kills. And overall, there wasn't really any pushback. That's something that really does need to change when we come into game number 2. But overall, I definitely am looking at Koi Abyss as a big team coming into this tournament and into this season. The big thing from them is going to be, can they continue this, right? They took a 2-0 FF. This is their first official game of the season. Their opponents took a very close game, right? We look at, or sorry, I said that the other way. Conduit Company, they were the ones that had that 2-0 forfeit win. So this is their first game playing. So maybe this is just that first game jitters. Who knows? On the other side of things, though, as I mentioned, Koi Abyss, this is their second game. They're already looking good. There was definitely a lot of doubts over the validity of their first game. Tilt Albino, a team that did take a game off of them, took it to a 2-1 finish, but it's certainly seeming like all doubts have been just halted as they are completely annihilating, ripping up this League of Legends match.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll be so honest. I haven't really heard a lot of the rift drama between the teams, so maybe you can fill me on that as well. But yeah, you know, like you've been saying, whatever doubts have been on there for the side of Koi, definitely been squashed if it was anything about their coordination and those team fights. As they, I mean, hey, we saw it. It was like, yeah, you know what I mean. I
It's
kind of lost my
definitely.
train of thought, but yeah, you know exactly what I'm saying, right? Like it was those last 5 minutes that really showed us what kind of team that Koi is because they were able to just turn what felt like a very even game from both sides into a completely unwinnable battle in the matter of 5 minutes or less.
It's that one side of the fair certainly looking good now as we head into game number 2. We'll see whether or not Koibis can conclude it or whether or not Conduit Company can make that comeback, bring us to a game 3. But ladies and gentlemen, we will talk to you all soon as we get underway with that draft. See you soon.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Let's see here. We got a fresh new draft and, of course, some fresh new smiles after game one. I'll try to give you a quick recap because I don't want to dig into this. I don't want to take away this draft time too much. But essentially, in game number one, we had a Teemo jungle that was pretty fire. Unfortunately, it didn't quite perform as we were hoping. Certainly hoping for the Teemo to dominate, but unfortunately it did not, and that Zahen jungle did manage to overpower the Teemo in a lot more ways than one. He took over the game and snowballed, pardon me, into a Baron, into a 5v5 team fight that Koi demolished Conduit in. And now here we are, game number two. Conduit unfortunately lost map one, but this is a best of three, and I do think that they have the mental fortitude. Just kind of brush that off as one quick loss. So, Cherry, taking a look at the draft here, what are we thinking?
Yeah, this certainly is looking like a draft that makes a lot of sense, right? These two teams have played relatively similar characters in game number one. We saw that Swain up in the mid lane this time around. There's also going to be some mages up in there with the Aurora coming out, the Jinx, Wukong. It's a good skirmishing comp. They
Yeah.
lock in the Wukong, and on the other side, the Neferi likely going to be played up in the jungle unless they do opt in for mid lane for it, which definitely is going to be in the realm of possibilities. I just don't know how much more likely that's going to be. The
Yeah.
Black Cleaver is something that definitely could be a good option with it. We'll
Mhm.
see what that is going to look like though, because the Wukong is
Actually,
somebody
wait,
who's
real
going to
quick.
build.
Real quick, do you know if the Neferi dogs can apply Black Cleaver stacks?
I think that they used to. I think they still do.
Okay, because that's actually a really good purchase. Because obviously, I hate to cut you off, but Wukong obviously does have a lot of natural armor with his
Yeah.
passive. So I do think that a Black Cleaver Neferi could be in the cards, but I wonder if that was like maybe just a matchup specific thing because typically they
I
do like to build lethality.
I can't remember if that was patched because there was definitely a
Okay,
time where it
okay,
was like Neferi Black Cleaver was like absurd because of the fact that it was
right,
just being applied so often. But yeah,
gotcha.
as we do get in, a lot of mages getting banned, the Mordekaiser as well. So AP really just getting taken off the table in general. We'll see what that final ban does look like from Koyabis, currently hailing at 1-0 overall in
Oh,
the series. They will ban out the Lulu. And that makes a lot of sense. They want to try and make this
yeah,
Jinx not overpowered,
you're right.
and that's a good way to do it.
Low key karma. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like I'm just kind of putting the thinking cap on. Maybe it's
Hmm.
horrendous, but I don't mind the karma here because you can speed up the Wukong, which makes like the Cyclone deadlier. It offers a lot of poke where Jinx is not really gonna have the best lane, or not the greatest early game, but they are actually gonna go for an Alistar, which I do respect. I love a good Alistar game. I can't get enough of that champion. How about you though? What's your main?
Tristana, maybe a little bit of
Okay,
some Mordekaiser when I get into it. It's
gotcha.
I don't know. I currently have a not a wide champion pool, but overall, all these characters way too hard for me to pilot.
Gotcha.
But that Scion getting locked in, that's a nice one. They got that Thresh Scion now, a combo that's going to have a lot of armor, a lot of
Oh
strength
yeah.
to be upholded. And on the other side, there's not a lot to break it down, right? You got that Jinx who can be pretty
Yeah.
ruthless. You got that Wukong who's got a lot of offensive pressure. But in
Mm,
general, oh man, the Fizz. It has been a
I like
while since
that.
I've seen the Fizz.
I like the Fizz pick. Again, it's kind of meme tier, like the TiVo. Doesn't really have any CC. The lane is not the craziest. You can kind of subvert it with, defensive runes, but typically you do want to have him being an assassin. And against a ranged champion like Aurora, I don't know. It could be a bit of a dicey lane. We are going to take a look at what the last pick for the side of Conduit Co is. But just before they lock it in, I want to say one quote that really touched me from their jungler. All right, it was his high school quote, and I want you to write this. Right, be honest of how hard this quote is. You got to put the pizza in the oven, take it out, and eat it. Does that not
Huh.
make you motivated?
Not necessarily. Not
That was supposed to be a
necessarily.
yes. We're going to try that again.
I'm
You got to
not a
put the
big
pizza in
pizza
the.
fan, I can't lie.
What is you goblin? Whatever. Listen, man.
Oh,
I
cheese
think
is
that
the
that quote.
worst.
What? Cheese the oh, are you lactose intolerant?
A little bit, but at the same time, I just
Okay, never
really don't
mind.
like
That makes
cheese.
sense.
Yeah.
Scratch that. Okay, I will not bring up
Hmm.
pizza anymore, just to
I mean,
not bring up.
pizza is okay sometimes. It just has to be like one of those flatbreads that doesn't have cheese on it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I had one of those in where was it? Washington D.C.
Mm,
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it was like I don't even know. It's like this place. I don't even remember what it's called, but its whole thing was, yeah, we will do it however you want it. And
Oh,
so I was
really?
like, all right,
Okay.
let me get like some sausage on this, some green peppers on this,
Mm,
and had it
nice.
all. And I was, it was just heaven made into a flatbread.
All right. Well, I don't think we'll be getting that here, unfortunately, but we are going to be seeing a
What?
draft made just the way that we want. Because obviously the Alistar is the piece de resistance for me. I love a good Alistar, and of course the Scion. I don't know if you've seen the news, but Balsi is going to be playing for Team Sweden. And yeah, right. You didn't hear about that? I mean, unfortunately, he's put as a sub, which I think is a big mistake. I think he's
What?
probably one of the best. Yeah, yeah. I kid you not. He made a video about it. Listen, after this game, go check it out. If it's game 3, definitely stick around. Ember Esports, by the way, on all your favorite social media channels. But yeah, definitely check it out because Balsi is going to be signed to Team Sweden, and of course, picking up the sign. Just made me think of that because you already know he came out with a slammer video. He went 0-5 in the first 10 minutes. Absolute masterpiece.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was just such a good game by him. Like I can't understate how good he is at playing the Scion. And I'm going to say with a straight face, man, all of his deaths are good deaths. I wish I could be even as half as good as him because in my games I only go like 3-0-15, so just not quite at the level of boss just yet, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, and I think overall, it was a very good draft, right? We're looking at this
Oh yeah,
Thresh of Felios. They're going to be having a lot of synergy down the bot lane. The Nefiri Fizz, I'm a little bit curious on, as you got a lot
right.
of mobility out of the Nefiri, not nearly
Right.
as much out of the Fizz. Yes, you have the dash. Yes, you have that untargetable, but overall, it's not necessarily going to be enough to be able to get you to the same level of offense,
Oh,
especially when you have to deal with the Aurora, who has
wait.
so much get out of jail free cards.
I actually really like the Fissure, I'm not gonna lie. It can hop over all of Cho'Gath's CC because it's very telegraphed. Like, if you get hit with a Cho'Gath knockup as a Fizz, that's genuinely on you. Like, it's a giant circle on the ground that takes 2 seconds. Alistar is literally a giant purple cow. If you get hit with his CC, again, that's on you. Like, you can just press E. Same with the Flame Choppers from Jinx. That's telegraphed. It's on the ground. You can see where it is when it's gonna land. So I actually don't think it's that bad. I was kind of talking on it before. And pun intended, because we do have a Fury here, but it might not actually be that bad in the mid game when we get to see those skirmishes, multiple people bunching up. And of course, Neferi, despite being an assassin, has a good amount of diving potential. And you pair that with something like a Thresh, who maybe just tanks the turn initially, walks at a tower range, throws the lantern under tower, lets the Fury finish off, the Jinx. They take the lantern, they get out, and it's kind of free. So I'm thinking about it. I don't mind the Neferi here.
Yeah, I think overall these comps, they're a little bit unorthodox, but in the setting that they're playing in, it makes a lot of sense to be able to run these. And so whether or not they're going to inevitably be able to work out as orchestrated as planned, we'll have to wait and see. There's definitely a reality in which this does become ever so much more of a difficult game. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to that short little break. We'll be back with the game number 2 right around the corner.
All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We're starting off with the action quite strong. That Fury going to be dropping really darn low as some opening fights take place down in the bot lane. That Thresh is going to be planted in that bush, so they are going to have to respect it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of lag happening on the stream. Hopefully, we'll be able to get that figured out, sorted out sooner rather than later. But, ladies and gentlemen, as we do get on into this game, once more, the implications. These two teams fighting for their spots so far. One having that forfeit win, the other one will have that later on within the season. So far, though, it is certainly a good game to say the least, with Conduit having a bit of a advantage so far in the season, 2-0 comparatively to their opponents who had a 2-1 Coibus. However, despite that, looking very, very good. We look at the team and expect greatness from them. Their composition orchestrated with perfection in mind, as they are currently having such a just great front to back angle.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, on the side of what are they called? Conduit. I do like the front to back angle, but on the side of Koi, they have so many people that can get onto the back line. Obviously, Aphelios probably not going to be diving onto that Jinx, but that Lunar whatever it is going to be reaching very, very far, which is definitely going to be a problem, especially for how much Conduit's comp really likes to bunch up, especially in that late game. Neferi as well, definitely very, very dominant when it comes to actually finding the Jinx. And of course, the Fizz, a staple of getting over tanks and onto the back line.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be a composition that has that opportunity. On the other side of things, though, there's a lot of disruption in the realm of possibilities. I'm looking at that Cyclone to be a major playmaker, the Between Worlds to be something that can really take a lot of damage. We get back on into the game already. The initiation happening. Exhaust found. Unfortunately, won't be able to really deal a whole lot of damage. It will just be getting out with the flash.
And yeah, like you were saying, the Cyclone could be doing quite a lot. But yeah, kind of like we were talking about in that draft, obviously the Fizz is going to be able to very easily deal with it because it is very telegraphed unless the Wukong is able to jump onto that Fizz. But I think that for the early game, the Fizz is going to be deceptively safe. Wouldn't be surprised, because they do have those auto attack resets, which does make the lane a little bit easier to farm in, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do manage to get a CS lead despite Aurora's range.
Over in top lane. Still. Minecraft Zombie having such a good start. Over in the jungle, 1v1 possibly to ensue with the second player coming on in faster. As they try and get this damage dealt, there's the opening blood as it will go onto the jungler. Unfortunately, this mid laner, they were very good last game, right? We saw Shiny Sneasel taking a very good advantage to open up, but despite that, they were not able to continue. This time around, there's already that lurking Fizz in the backline, sending home kills. And with the support of their Neferi in that 1v1 that they prolonged for so long against Shiny Shuckle, they will be inevitably able to take that kill. Now, down towards bot lane, a little bit of some good work to come out immediately. When we do look towards Conduit Go, they take a decent priority down in bot side. With 25 CS, they're going to have this wave right up against them. They should be able to get up to 30, if not even higher.
Yeah, although, speaking of the bot lane matchup, I don't know how I feel about the Alistar Thresh. Because obviously, right, Thresh and Alistar, both certainly very good engaged champions, but Thresh is much more suited to disengage, whereas Alistar is a little bit more suited to engage. And I generally, when I like to pick Alistar, it's not into a Thresh. You usually want to pick it into something like a Leona, engage versus engage. So I don't quite understand the reasoning from Conduit, but at the same time, maybe you could peel the Scion away. It's hard to peel the Fury, certainly very hard to peel Fizz, and it's not like you're really going to need to peel the Thresh. So, just kind of digging into all your years of experience, what do you see about the Alistar versus Thresh matchup?
Well, I think my reasoning here is pretty simple, Gareth. I mean, I watch a lot of League of Legends, and it's just something about this duo, the Thresh plus Aphelios. It's something you see pretty often, I think, and I mean, in terms of duos in bot lane, it's a pretty common one. Same thing with the Alistar Jinx. I don't totally know the ins and outs of why it's good because I like to play top and just hit people with my hammer. But I'm sure because of how often you see these two paired together, the Thresh will likely just has some dynamics that work well with the way that you're going to look to play this Aphelios, especially when it comes to being able to get in, get out of engagements, be able to hit the hook, and then go full throttle into somebody. Maybe just the general thrash that you have to be able to keep your opponents off guard and at bay. It's a similar situation with the Alistar, right? Both having a lot of peel, having the opportunity to be able to send your opponents into disarray and keep them disorganized, as now a 3v3 ensues. Trying to target this Thresh early will only be able to deal a minimalized amount of damage comparatively to the Alistar, who soaked up the majority.
Yeah. And that Alistar soaking up damage is only going to get worse and worse as the game goes on, because I do actually know the numbers a little bit off by heart, and that Unbreakable Will soaks up 55% of all damage that it takes at level 1, or sorry, well, at level 6, but rank 1 ultimate. So it's definitely going to be very, very good against a lot of the burst that that Koi has drafted in the form of this fully charged Scion Q, Nefiri's entire kit, Fizz's entire kit, and of course a lot of Aphelios' damage.
Look at this Aphelios too. I mean, the matchup seemed relatively even earlier, but now up 20 CS. Just being a menace in the bot lane is now up towards topside. This can get really deadly. I think they have the ultimate in hand. Won't be able to pop it just yet. And unfortunately, that kill factor not going to be in the realm of possibilities. The Scion still gets to live another day.
Yeah, I mean, Scion's definitely very hard to take down, just in general, right? But he also does come back, so that is something you're going to have to consider when you're trying to go in for a fight, or even a dive for that matter. Like, can you get out with your life, but also get away from Scion as he's in his passive?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the issues with fighting him, because you're really in a lose-lose situation half the times, especially early game, because it's like, okay, either you're going to lose in the dive or you're going to be able to win in the dive, but then there's also this Scion coming. This time around, it's the former, where the Scion just stays alive, and unfortunately, the DPS output does not reach enough. It is still going to be them sitting up nice and healthy, and unfortunately, the overzealousness of having two players up in the top side will just cause for their downfall.
Yeah, and you know, kind of like we were saying a little bit earlier, especially in game number 1, top lane is kind of like an island. If one laner gets ahead by a long shot, then it's definitely going to feel a lot. It's certainly very good for the laner that is ahead, and it can very much snowball out of control, because top lane, despite being kind of the lane of tanks and duels, is a very, very snowbally lane, which typically we would think that it's actually mid lane, but no, I want to say that top lane is a little bit more snowbally.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, mid lane's like, okay, you can be ahead gold on me, but I'm still going to be better mechanically, so I'm just going to dash around you. You're going to be outmaneuvered, and that's half of what mid lane becomes. Now, over in the mid lane, speaking of this Fizz in a really, really dangerous spot, we'll have the Wukong coming up close. Unfortunately, that proximity going to be able to call for the Fizz retreat, and as of now, still hovering around this Drake pit will be the Wukong, looking for an angle to possibly make that engagement at around 60% HP. We're likely going to be seeing the Fizz still sticking around tall. Up and topside, decimating smash. In exchange, Minecraft Zombie gets a little bit of extra help, and now they're going to look to try and convert a kill. They're currently down a decent portion, as there's still going to be a massive amount of magic resistance built up for the Scion on the other side of things, exclusively going for health. But it is likely just going to be neither player to make a massive lead. Stepping into the decimating smash, a little bit of a misplay for Dark Carnage, as they do still just maintain prevalence over the, or sorry, misplay for Minecraft Zombie. And as they do still take so much priority over this wave, they're going to get another one. They're just conceding all of these and that extra bit of damage. Yes, it's not too much initially, but that certainly does start to just completely compound with interest, and now it is going to force a retreat. They go in back, and that'll give this Scion the opportunity to say, yeah, let me get more minions to equalize with you.
Exactly, yeah, and you're talking about compounding pressure. Obviously, I do think that the Cho'Gath is lining up a Heart Steel, which, obviously does directly compound with interest, but as well as Scion, right? Even though it's fixed scaling, the health per minion kill is definitely very, very valuable the later the game goes on, because as everyone's full build, you can still get stronger. Whereas, something like a Jinx or an Alistar, or even Aurora for that matter, they are hard capped once they reach 6 items. There's no scaling past that point, and maybe that's going to spell the end. I highly doubt we're going to get like a 3-hour game where the Scion has, 20,000 health, because, I just don't think we've got that kind of thing lined up. But if it does happen, I do think that the very, very late game is going to be favoring Koi quite a bit.
So now, break up. Both teams possibly looking to fight for it, but as the Wukong starting to path up towards topside, not having a whole lot of intention to be able to try and challenge by the looks of it. Still, so many players looking to gather, both ADC and support, as well as mid lane, gathering around the jungler. Minecraft Zombie going to be able to evade the decimating smash, gets hit by their own knockup. So now, Dark Carnage taking them to such a low HP line just off of singular hits. Still going to be able to convert even more of these. Ocean Drake gets taken on the other side. 0 contestation given to it. And that really does show the dominance this team does have over the Rift.
Yeah, and as you're talking about the Scion and the Cho'Gath kind of 1v1ing each other up top, it's I do think it is going to be very much Scion favor, because once he starts getting a lot of magic resist, Hollow Radiance, or, Merc Shreds, or, I mean, literally anything else, probably a Force of Nature, maybe. No, probably Kinetic Rooker. Who am I kidding? It's going to be very, very difficult for Cho'Gath to actually do anything, because Scion has pretty high base damage. Cho'Gath, not really, especially as a very mana-hungry champion. I do think that the Scion is going to be coming out on top for 90% of the trades going forward.
I think that's a very accurate interpretation. This is looking very rough. Oh, the Between Worlds, it's not going to be enough. Shiny Sneasel. That's ridiculous, and they still take it. Despite being down in gold, they get the item up first. That will cause a real rough spot for this Fizz. Now, it is still not going to be enough to turn the tide of the gold. It is around 700 extra, but as not something that you really can take down too easily. That singular kill into the Fizz, yes, it might be able to give you some momentum, but overall, taking a lead is going to be a completely different story.
We'll see where the leads go. Honestly, leads in the early game can be a little bit funky with the mid lane picks. Obviously, like you're saying, half of mid lane is going to be dashing around and outskilling your opponent. So, even if the Fizz does have the gold lead temporarily, I do think that the Aurora can turn it around, and vice versa. Obviously, if Aurora has a lead, Fizz once he gets onto her, she's kind of made out of wet toilet paper. Fizz can very easily tear it up. And just kind of do what he needs to do. In the bot lane, though, it's a little bit more set in stone. Obviously, because they have an entire other champion to back them up in case anything goes wrong. But I do think that Jinx is probably going to be able to hold this lead a little bit better than Aphelios, because, even though Thresh is good at disengaging, Jinx can directly disengage herself with those flame chompers.
And being able to disengage, certainly going to be a nice tool in this matchup. And I mean, overall, this is just looking so lopsided at this point, up over 1,000 gold. And yes, it's not a initial big lead, but overall, you look at the opposite side of things, right? You're going to be heavily relying on this Aurora, and against the Naafiri, they can easily get shut down, one would have to imagine, especially with the lethality getting built up early. This Naafiri going to be in a world of hurting to do onto some of these squishier champions. I allude specifically towards that Aurora, that Jinx, the two players who are getting a little bit on that buffed side.
And yeah, just kind of taking a look at the scaling. Obviously, Aphelios is one of the staples for really good late game carries. Jinx is definitely a staple for hyper carries as well, but I do like her mid game a little bit more than Aphelios's. I won't lie to you, and maybe that's just an experience, but I do favor the Jinx for the mid game at least. Late game, I do think they're about even, but in terms of damage in the mid lane, I do think that Aurora has a lot better damage TPS, but her damage is also AoE, which makes it a little bit scarier, because on the side of Koi, they drafted a lot of squishy champions.
Yeah, I mean, the Fizz having a little bit more in terms of being able to utilize their tools to be able to escape and evade opponents. Meanwhile, the Aurora, something that, yes, does have similar options, but it's not nearly as prevalent. Meanwhile, the Fizz It's just a very different character and maybe a little bit worse in some aspects, but overall looking towards topside, trying to set up a bit of a play, and the ulti coming through. Jace with 12 gauge takes them down. Now pulling them into turret to take a shot from it is going to still be this Alistar to evade any secondary shots from the turret and get out without much harm done.
Yeah, I mean, Alistar is generally one of the better supports in the game to start diving towers with, because again, at rank 1, Unbreakable Will soaks up 55% of the damage for, I think it's 10 seconds, 8 or 10 seconds, something like that. But anyway, it is a very long time where Alistar is low-key kind of untouchable. He can just kind of run around and do whatever he wants, and you have to deal with it, because you can't just ignore the Alistar. He's going to CC you. You can't just ignore the Alistar and walk past him. He'll just knock you out of tower, and then his teammates are going to beat you in the face. So it's definitely very hard to deal with, but with Thresh, you can very easily disengage, so I'm not surprised they were able to kind of peel him off, but the Thresh doesn't have the box anymore, which is certainly a very good ultimate when taking dragons, because it makes it so hard to escape.
Able to cancel the back. Hextech Rocket Belt to do it. Still though, up in the mid lane. Going to be a level down, needing to be able to get back into this game. So far, it's the Drake looking to get converted, equalized 1-1. It does get slain as they do find it without any real competition. This was the exact thing we saw earlier. Both these two teams having a difficult time being able to detect and be able to gather, rally at these Drake pits when each other are going for. We haven't seen a single team fight for one.
And honestly, like with the comp that Conduit has in the early and mid game, you can't really go up against them. Kind of like I was saying before, Aurora has a lot of damage. Maybe not as much as Fizz, but her damage is very spread out in a small area, and obviously Dragon Pit and by extension, Grubs and Baron, definitely very small areas where people are going to be clumped up together. So Aurora does become a lot more deadly than something like a Fizz, which can only, realistically deal with one person at a time. And especially with something like, Wukong, who has a Cyclone. Again, it's the same area theory. Same with the Jinx, even. I don't think you'd really melee ult zone with the Unstoppable Super Mega Death Rocket, but if you do, it's a lot of damage in a small area, so I do think that Conduit's comp is better fit to take dragons, as well as kind of get these wombo combo team fights.
And that is kind of the issue, right? There's not a whole lot of AoE for this opposite side of things, Koi Abyss. They have a lot of dueling champions up in the mid lane now. I mean, not a whole lot of engagements occurring on either side of the map now.
Yeah.
It is the Fizz looking to make a massive challenge. Rocket Belt, no connection. Ulti comes through, as now it certainly does seem like Shiny Shuckle is going to be able to facilitate Sneasel to take that kill. Will be able to do exactly that. Set up a second one.
And honestly, I want to take our minds off of the fighting and just kind of take a look at the tower pushing ability. Obviously, Avelio's probably, like I was saying before, definitely very even in terms of damage with the Jinx, but Jinx, I do think shreds towers a lot faster. Same with the Cho'Gath, those Void Spikes being an attack reset as well. Same with Wukong to some extent. I don't think he's really going to be pushing a lot of towers, but if push comes to shove, I do think he's probably a little bit more comfortable than something like a Fury. But at the same time, San is one of the split pushing champions of all time. So definitely keeping their eyes on the top lane is going to have to be one of the top priorities for Conduit. Otherwise, they could be getting the Boston special of that San ulting into those two Nexus towers.
Playing towards mid. Lots of players starting to gather, and I think that really could lead to a bit of change up in terms of what we've been seeing so far. All right, we've been seeing a lot more basic lane hitting, but with I think 3 players from this blue side, 2 maybe 3 players from this red side, all gathering in close proximity, that could cause for a bit of distress.
I don't think there's anything to really worry about, though, that being said, I was going to say that the game's relatively even as it is right now, but in game number 1, we certainly saw a similar situation where it looked very, very even up until those last 5 minutes. So, I don't know, you might be right. Maybe the pressure is starting to mount. I would like to think that Conduit can kind of hold strong and just kind of chillax and let things take their course, just be a little bit more slower with the gameplay, let the Jinx scale, let the Aurora get her items, let the Cho'Gath eat some minions and jungle monsters, and then they'll be good to go.
Yeah, I think a big part of it has to be the fact that this is their first game within the season, so they know they got to start off nicely. So far, only having an FF win against a team that is FF'd against everyone that they have and will play against, that definitely does mean, okay, yeah, they're just starting out at 0-0. Everyone's going to have that win.
Although, I mean, sometimes it's nice to just get a little free bait. I mean, obviously, you would like to test yourself, and even losses can be very, very nice for something like this. Even though it really does suck to lose, playing against a better player is certainly something that you want to do because it helps you get better at the game exponentially. With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a Baron being taken in the next short little bit, as I do think that Koi is in the driver's seat. They've got more kills, they've got more gold, they've certainly got more Void Grubs and Towers to their names, so I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, with a 2k gold lead, almost 3k gold lead, this team is not going to be going anywhere. Baron up and looking to take it. They might even just get it, as now it's starting to scale in. We are going to finally be seeing the engagement. This is going to be looking rough for Koi. Early fight, but they take the Nashor. Between worlds getting contacted. It's already, though, the kill. Shiny Sneasel utilizing their utility. The Bull is flashing over the wall. Cyclone out, trying to use the LT from the Scion to be able to get out of the fray, but unfortunately for them, the unstoppable onslaught still going to be able to get them off.
Yeah, and that's the AoE stuff I'm talking about, man. The Conduit's comp has so much of it that if they're grouped up, they legitimately run a risk. No matter how far ahead they are, they have to respect the rockets. They have to respect the Wukong's entire kit. They have to respect so much, and it's so hard for them to actually engage if they all are taking the same amount of damage, which Conduit's comp is very good at doing.
Now trying and respond after having the Baron sent against them. Looking to try and get this Hexector, take the lead in terms of these objectives. Still, though, going to try and go for the flip. Won't be able to get it this time around. Sending the Lantern, able to get out of the fray. Now, stun hit. Will not try and create close contact. Still, though, is Cho'Gath looking to be the opening player. Decimating Smash makes the connection. Still, though, so many players poking, prodding, getting some damage dealt. Now, nothing too big, but the flank route coming in from the Fizz could possibly start to lead into some big DPS out, but that's a nice one from the Thresh. Ultimate comes out. Won't be able to make anything just yet out of it, as the Thresh is going to be able to put up a wall between them and opponents.
Yeah, and earlier in this game, I was talking about the Scion being an infinite health scaler. Obviously, we have to consider Cho'Gath, because I think in that last fight there, they were trying to take down the Cho'Gath. They were chasing for a solid 20 seconds, and he was not close to, well, he was kind of close to dying, but point is, he was pretty comfortably alive, especially with his team there. If they aren't able to stop him, I do think that Cho'Gath will be more or less immune to death from the Scion as well as the Fizz, because, if you can't burst Cho'Gath down in the first couple seconds, what does Fizz really have after that? And the same goes with the Fury. They do have a little bit of DPS with the dogs, but against the Cho'Gath, who's probably going to be building a Sunfire, they're not really going to be made of a whole lot of a threat against him.
And the Baron buff, unfortunately, will not be able to translate to too big of a lead for them. Still just staking at around that 2k gold advantage. Over towards mid, a couple players starting to scale up. Alistar, Jinx, both in proximity to each other, and as working in unison, they are going to look to rotate up towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of chill. After these big objectives are taken off the map, obviously it's a time where you want to start farming, but like you were saying, with that Baron buff in hand, you would hope to get, like a 10k gold lead, just trying to fight some more, to really push this game into your hands, but it looks like Conduit is perfectly happy holding strong.
That's certainly going to be the case, but as of now, lots of players up towards mid. This Wukong looking to try and challenge somebody. Unfortunately, gonna realize the fact calling somebody out may not be the feasible situation that they might have thought it was. You gotta play with this Aurora. You don't play with this Aurora, the likelihood of dying becomes exponentially higher. Between worlds possibly to be popped. So far, just getting hit by the Decimating Smash and backing up will be both players conceding the engagement. Never mind, the Nefiri now coming up spotted. It's going to be still just gonna back away. Shiny Sneasel able to buy time.
Yeah, and that's the one really good thing about the Aurora is, if there is unsafe farm on the lane, right? Like if it's pushed up to like a tier 2 turret, for example, and no one is really comfortable getting that farm, like if you don't have any vision, obviously you're not going to put the Jinx up there. Obviously you're not going to put the Cho'Gath there. He is hard to kill, but he could still die. With the Aurora, you're extremely safe because if they manage to catch you as you're, being invisible, you just pop between worlds and you just boop, zip away and you're completely fine. So I do like the Aurora mainly for that, like just what we just saw because it's so hard to shut her down.
Really is. It gets exponentially more difficult with each play, and for now, just sitting in bot side jungle. Going to be a few players coming in close proximity, and this Fizz alone can definitely dip under turret if need be, but
I don't
they
think he's
are
gonna have
certainly
time.
susceptible for damage. I
Yeah,
think
Aurora's
if
doing
they
so much.
dash onto their minions, they might be able to, assuming there's no slows, but you're right. They are just going to be called out as they were susceptible to a massive onslaught.
Take a look at the top side though. That's Nefiri's getting kind of close to the Shogat. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an engagement there too.
Yeah, being able to fight in that regard certainly would be nice, as over and done with this Cho'Gath now, getting way too close for comfort, continuously locked in place. This Fizz getting low on the HP line, can't allow them to swallow you whole, but now, or sorry, the Nefiri, not Fizz, but it's gonna be the kill, right? They dodge, weave, send themselves, almost, but unfortunately in the end, Minecraft Zombie just gonna be wasting the ulti, allowing them to get out. That was, nope.
Very close.
Well, that would have been hilarious, but
Right.
unfortunately, will not come into fruition.
Yeah, I won't come into fruition, but yeah, that's the thing about the Cho'Gath is, he's hard to kill, but he's still killable. That's one of the things that you have to be careful of because if he is given enough time to scale, eventually the Nefiri will just die in that situation. They won't have enough health to sustain it.
Looking to connect the hook, won't be in the realm of possibilities. Drake up, and they'll just take that
Uh-oh.
one. Not Drake up, that was the Scuttle Crab, wow. But as they, there was a nasty hook, and they try and flail them over the wall. Won't be able to connect us yet, but look at the HP taken to such a low percentage. This Aurora, the most hefty person to deal with. Now TP coming in. This will be this Cho'Gath at the front and center, and as everyone locking them up, sent into the Thresh cage, it is going to be Minecraft Zombie still alive and kicking at around 40% HP, diving in. It's going to be insane. Aqua Bathwater trying to make something happen, but unfortunately the Fizz just shutting them down way too early. As Shuckle as well takes another kill. It's Sneasel for the third. This team, despite a great opening, getting complete and utter domination.
But look at the Silo, he's still hanging around.
Yeah, the Scion needs to go absolutely nuclear, and it's going to come down to right here, right now. Can they do it? Unfortunately, the answer seeming to be concluded already. Dark Carnage, I feel like you needed to go for that.
Yeah, and I guess we'll start talking about the team comps once again. Even though I really do like the burst from Koi side, obviously they have so much damage. If the fights are dragged out, the Jinx will outscale the Aphelios in terms of damage. The Cho'Gath will bite somebody and take their head right off and eat some dinner. They cannot afford to let these fights drag out. And with the Baron coming up pretty soon as well, they have to be very careful of it because obviously the Cho'Gath has his Eat as well as the Wukong Smite.
Definitely not ideal by no means, and third Drake certainly seeming to be on a line and going towards this team's favor, as already it is a big game for Conduit Co. taking their third Drake. They were down 0-1 on this game's scoreline, and as of now they just come back and absolutely start swinging.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because obviously Koi's still in the lead with the gold. You would expect them to be dominating a little bit harder, but now that Conduit has been given some time to scale, I'm not so sure. I do think they have. I mean, that last fight that we just saw very much proved that they definitely have the ability to fight back, especially around these Dragon and Baron pits, like we've seen before. So I do think that's if you're Koi, you're maybe starting to sweat.
I think one of the big issues is the fact that they've been investing so much utility into killing Shiny Smeagol, but unfortunately they haven't been able to translate that into a win. That's something that needs to happen soon. And if not, we're likely going to be seeing them continue to be as dominant as they are. Just going for another one. This is the second time now that we've been seeing them called out. I can't really endorse it, as Lavo is needing to be a little bit more positionally aware.
Although this Fizz is going to have to be very, very careful, as he's not as slippery as he used to be in the early game.
At this point, the HP not nearly as high, not nearly as fast. Baron dealing so much damage to some of these players. I wouldn't be surprised if Koi starts having the window of opportunity, connecting the hook, looking to try and get in. It's the unstoppable onslaught, connecting onto 3 now. Shiny going up onto the high ground, using the blast cone. It's Anisi to get the opener. Sneasel goes down. Double kill for Nazi. They look to try and make it an even bigger one, but the Baron still getting taken in the end. Third kill as Dark Carnage comes on in, and that's a 5K. Nobody dies in response. It was absolute annihilation for Koi Abyss.
Yeah, you know what? I will gladly eat my words on that one. Clearly their confidence is better at dealing with these Baron pit fights than I thought. And Jinx being alone, that's never going to be a good story. I wouldn't be surprised if they die quite soon.
You know why they won it?
Why do they want it?
They actually targeted Smeagol. If they do that, they win these fights. I mean, this player is currently on a absolute tear right now with almost 4 items in the bank. Now, engagement coming in from the Thresh, looking to try and end this kill right here, right now. Answer will be yes. Ladies and gentlemen, a 2-0 quickly ensues as 32 minutes into the game. Koi Abyss will take this series 2-0. Week 2 of the Ember League is going absolutely nuts, as this is certainly going to be a team that'll be a front runner for that championship.
Absolutely, and I know this is the Ember League, but I do want to say that this is going quite swimmingly for Koi, and very fittingly so as the Fishy Friends, and again, if they're picking the Fizz, I think it might have been Destiny, as that game was quite dominant once again. It looked very, very even, but this time, Conduit was able to fight back just a little bit more against the clutches of the Kois, but obviously, as we saw in those last 5 minutes, it really just swung in their favor, and it hit Conduit in the face so hard that they fell over, and of course their offense was no more, and they will be shut out.
Unfortunately, Conduit just trying to force a Baron. It is not something that they have the HP, the healthiness to be able to do, and it really worked against them. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is certainly going to be a crazy, crazy game. I cannot believe that we're seeing this already. I don't believe any of the other matches have been reported, unfortunately, so we don't have a whole lot to give to your screen.
Guess you'll have to stick around and find out.
So make sure you tune in for even more of these ESL games. Certainly one of the more fun leagues. I look at this team, though, I'm really expecting them to be good. The other team that I really am looking at as like a big front runner is Monkey's Bonsai. We got to cast them last week. Conduit Demon Time playing against them. Really good game for Monkey's Bonsai, though. They were just delivering dominance upon dominance against their opponents, and this was a little bit closer, I'd say. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, so far, you look at the current state of everything. Monkey's Bonsai, they're gonna be good. They haven't actually reported their B2 game yet, but the only 2 teams that are currently 2-0 then will in fact be Koi Abyss, as well as the side of Team Soul Invade, who had a forfeit win this week against the Regicide Dynasty. So with that forfeit win, they will put themselves up at 2-0. We'll see Koi Abyss put themselves at 2-0. They're going to be the really good teams that we can really look at and say, yeah, they could definitely make a lot of waves, but who knows whether or not other teams will join them in that regard.
100%, man. Well, you just have to stick around and find out. I believe you can find us at Ember Esports on all your favorite social media channels, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, or X, whatever you want to call it. But regardless, you can find us under those names. And yeah, definitely some very nice matches today. I would have liked to see a 2-1 series. I was certainly hoping for Conduit to win that one because I was talking to the players. They seemed like a great bunch. But at the end of the day, I do remember them saying that they don't really play a lot of tournaments. They only play when everyone is available. So, I'm not going to say that they weren't taking it seriously, but I don't think that this loss or victory for that matter was really that important to them. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes you just got to pug it out. Sometimes you just here to have fun with your friends. But Koi Abyss is going to be moving up just a little bit farther But I wouldn't count Conduit Co out just yet. I do think that they do have a lot of power behind the roster, especially with Sneasel, as you're saying, definitely a very important player in game number 2, especially this game number 1. But as the competitive veteran that they are, they will probably be leading the team to hopefully another victory in the later parts of the series. So again, stick around for that one. I think that's gonna be all from me though. Cherry, anything else from you?
Nothing else left from me. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to take a second. Follow the Twitch channel. Follow us on Twitter. You want to plug yourself?
Nah, nah,
Ah, well,
nah.
I'll do my self plug. You can find me at cherrycast_ on X. Make sure to pull up for even more Ember Esport League games, as we will be having so much more action coming to you in these future weeks. And if you like this one, you're certainly going to like everything else we got coming to you. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it from us here on the Ember Esports stream. Talk to you later. Peace out.